Just ahead on American Black Journal, as the nation prepares to celebrate the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., how far have we come toward realizing his dream? We'll talk with the Reverend Horace Sheffield III about Dr. King's vision. Plus, we'll hear about a Dr. King birthday event hosted by Detroit's Black Historic Sites Committee. That's all coming up next.
Eric wants to know,
what does DTE Energy do to make Michigan a better place?
Rodney can tell you.
We do a lot, like youth education and employment programs. We fund over 500 jobs for youth all across the state. Many are neighborhood improvement projects just like this.
It's incredible.
Wow, that is fantastic. So this is like a paint by number, this whole thing, right? Communities are such great places, aren't they?
They sure are.
Love the siding. Measure once, cut twice, right? DTE Energy. Know your own power.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. Tomorrow, the nation will pause to celebrate what would have been the 85th birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The civil rights leader's birthday was first observed as a federal holiday in 1986. Dr. King was a frequent visitor to Detroit. These photos show Dr. King with the late Horace L. Sheffield Jr., a longtime Detroit labor and civil rights activist. Sheffield participated in the 1963 Detroit Walk to Freedom, led by Dr. King, and was known locally and nationally as a dedicated fighter for human rights. Today, I'd like to welcome his son, the Reverend Horace Sheffield III, to American Black Journal.
Thank you, Stephen.
It's great to have you here.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So I feel like I should start off by noting that your dad and my granddad, who was William Beckham Sr.,
yes,
were close associates and friends and worked together at the UAW.
And it was the black trade union movement that made Detroit so critical.
That's right.
The civil rights movement.
That's right.
My father used to ask, what's the difference between a pile of bricks and a cathedral? He said organization. And
right.
Black trade unionists like Beckham, Bill Beckham Sr. and my dad were really professional organizers.
Right. Right.
That Dr. King needed.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And it's easy to forget that when he came here in '63, before the March in Washington, not everybody was all thrilled about that.
Well, the truth be told, if everyone who claimed to have supported King did, the civil rights movement would have been over.
It would have moved a lot faster than it did.
And the reality was that, as you know, the NAACP, which is an interesting dichotomy because they now sponsor the commemorative march in Detroit, but at that time they did not support.
That's right.
Dr. King. Even the National Baptist Convention, with its leader, the historic leader, Dr. Jackson, of course, was against Dr. King as well.
Right. Yeah. Right. And you know, that sort of goes this idea that there's been a sort of de-radicalization to some extent of Dr. King's message and his legacy in his death. Right. That sort of puts aside the fact that this was a guy who was running against the current and against the tide.
Yeah, sure. Well, you know, I grew up with this sense in my house, with my dad being vice president of the Negro American Labor Council under A. Philip Randolph, of King. I mean, not of King, of Frederick Douglass' favorite quote, that power conceives nothing except by the man never has, never will.
Right.
And we can see, Stephen, that every time that pressure has waned, so has what we've achieved been lost.
Right, right.
And so, yeah, in many ways, it's profitable to make Dr. King's whole legacy about a dream, as opposed to the nightmare that gave rise to the dream. Right. Which in many ways, the poverty, even to some degree discrimination in employment, segregation to some degree. One of the biggest problems we have in this metropolitan area still is.
It's still segregation, yes. Sure.
Restrictive covenants, which actually instill deeds that you can find on homes in Detroit that forbid whites from selling houses to black people. Yeah. So, I mean, that's part of the history that we've got to still overcome.
Right. When you look around Detroit today and you see the things, I mean, it strikes me that the income equality is the thing that I would think Dr. King would be most disappointed that we haven't of course, you're never going to completely overcome it, but that it wouldn't be better than it is now.
Well, you know, I say to people when I fly in and out of Detroit all the time, sometimes I think I'm in the Bahamas because there's so many blue tarps on people's roofs.
Sure.
We spend billions of dollars in Iraq and won't spend $1 million on Mac. My philosophy is our money spend it on us. Dr. King, if he was here, he would be poisoning this nation that bailed out General Motors. I mean, let's think about it. I mean, the largest corporation in the world at one time went bankrupt. No one, you know, blamed them or, you know, said we're not going to help them. But yet here's a city that put the world on wheels and ran out of gas. And we refused to refuel it and retool it.
Right.
And I think that's, you know, quite frankly, because in its present state, in many people's minds, even African Americans, Detroit is too poor and too black.
Yeah.
And until some of that changes, it's not worthy of investment.
So how do you change that? I mean, how do you get to the point where we can focus on, I mean, you and I, we live in the city. You don't have to go far from either of our houses to see income inequality that you would find in the third world.
I think unlike previous generations who never looked totally to the government or to Uncle Sam, my grandfather used to say, I'm not in Uncle Sam's family, therefore I have to do for myself. Look at the wealth in black churches. Congregations spending $100,000 a month for a place to worship.
Sure.
We have to take some responsibility for this ourselves. There needs to be some aggregation of congregations and pooling our wealth, rebuilding our own neighborhoods, affording people who live in our congregations who have marginal income and therefore are forced to live in substandard housing, opportunities to live in places they could not afford on their own.
Sure.
I mean, this is our responsibility.
Yeah. What about the political infrastructure in the city? Your daughter just joined the rank of
You're gonna have me crying.
Elected officials.
My daughter is so gifted.
Yeah.
And I want to say this as a disclaimer because there's someone still suggests she won because of the name. The name certainly helped her. Yeah. There's someone who said the name hurt her.
Yeah,
I mean, there are people who are tickle pink every time I walk in the room. But my daughter has, you know, learned from her grandfather, who she spent 4 years of her life with, but was up under him all the time. And she's just watched. She's been a good observer. She's a great speaker. And she, I think, represents, let me just say this. She came to me 4 or 5 years ago and was going to leave Detroit.
Is that right?
As my son pondered it as well, so many young people, their generation. I mean, I travel, you know, a lot of places are real nice.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know, you have a choice. You can leave and hope things get better, or you can stay and make them better.
And try to make them better.
And that's what she chose to do.
What do you think is the sort of forecast for? I mean, she's one of, I guess, 5 brand new council people. What's the forecast for how they will be able to
let me just
make
say
big
this,
change?
and I was hoping we'd get to this. I have, since the election, had an opportunity to view the mayor's administration and the way that he does things. And I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I really am. I didn't support him.
Right.
I wasn't, I didn't have any venom for him when he was running. He could be white. If he was a pink elephant landing on penguin, could make penguin better, I would vote for him.
Right.
Benny and I went to high school. We have a long history. I'm impressed. I think the way he's handled city council, the way he's brought them in, and I think that you have a wealth of younger people. The Hispanic young lady from Southwest Detroit. I mean, you know,
it's a different looking council than we had
Scott Benson,
before.
who I supported with I built $1 million church on the east side. He used to have fundraisers on my parking lot. I mean, just a capable guy.
Yeah.
If we can just harness the energy and the ingenuity and the vision of these young people and don't stifle them, then Detroit can become a world-class city and put the world not only on wheels, but maybe digitize the drive.
Right, that's right. So I saw an op-ed you wrote recently in a Downriver paper about healthcare, which is another real issue that I think would bother Dr. King, the way we handle that now. We've got some changes coming with the Affordable Care Act. It's not going quite as well as we thought, but
you know, my mother, the day she died, was a nurse at Receiving Hospital. My dad chaired that hospital when DMC was just a geographic area, was vice president of Jail Hudson, and built that new hospital against Coleman Young's wishes.
Right.
I remember them almost fighting in my father's basement because Coleman wanted to get out of business, and my dad wanted to make certain that indigent people could have care. I've been in South America and Central America. I've been to Chile, and people in Chiquita brand banana plantations have health care.
Have health care, sure. Right.
And have the same health care as the people who own the plantation. It's not a commodity, it's not a commercial enterprise, it's a right.
It's a right.
And I think, history will prove that what Obama did here was revolutionary. There were some glitches, there's some problems.
Yeah.
But you look at the DMC that spends $70 million a year in uncompensated care with people who are eligible for some form of insurance, either Medicaid, Medicare, and now, of course, the affordable health care.
Right, right. Poverty, health care, war was a big issue with Dr. King, too. We see the United States still sort of involved in two conflicts. What would he say about those?
Well, I think Dr. King would probably spend time on the civil, uncivil nature of public conversation. I think, and I tell people all the time, Mildred Gaddis and I used to get into it. You don't hear any of that. I mean, I've reached out to Mildred. I said, Mildred, if you and I can get along, a lot of folks can.
Right.
I mean, the only difference between bullets and knives that people use on the streets of Detroit, some of us, is that we use press releases and blogs.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that
it does get really vicious.
It gets, take issue with the issue, don't pick with the person.
Right.
Everyone has a right to their point of view. I think Dr. King would be appalled at the level to which partisanship has become so venomous and vicious.
Yeah.
So that leads to the inability for nations to get along. If parties can't get along, if the U.S. Congress can't get along, what are we going to do?
Right. And if we can't get along in Detroit, I mean, that's the thing that always surprises me is that.
Well, I'm a preacher, and I believe God designed the last to be first. And I think when we get done redesigning, reframing this city, and show that a majority black population can elect the right person, not just a white person,
right.
that we can lead this nation in terms of how do you overcome what are apparent antagonisms and obstacles and make something happen in spite of it.
Yeah. Do you feel like, you've mentioned a couple times the changes that are taking place in the city, and we are trying to restructure government and things like that. Is that moving us in the right direction in your opinion?
Well, I probably would sound pretty crazy. I mean, I think the duplication of and layers of government and the cost. It's just too much. I mean, the reality is, I grew up in Detroit when they had doormen at Hudson's.
Right.
I grew up at a time when people slept at Belle Isle. My grandfather on Hazelett could sleep on his porch, fall asleep, listen to the Tigers game. Crime is a big issue. We've got to come to grips with that. Not only crime, but the fear of crime. We're at a post-perspective here.
That's right.
Where people will believe Detroit is unsafe even if there's no crime.
Right.
So we've got to work on that. But I think, the biggest issue for us in Detroit is us saying positive things about our city and believing that we are making progress.
Yeah.
We're the worst enemy for our city.
That's right. We absolutely are, right?
Yeah. My son, by the way, has a song out called "I'm Loving Not Leaving Detroit." He said,
is that right?
I'm not leaving the city that made us, even though the way they talk about it is outrageous.
That's good.
I don't like rap, but I'm with it.
Right. No, it takes a Detroiter to talk really bad about Detroit.
I'm loving not leaving Detroit.
All right. Well, we'll have to leave it with that. Thank you for being here.
I'd to have you come rap a verse of it.
I'll try. I don't know if anyone wants to hear that.
Well, they'll look at you. I mean, this is the way they dress. That's how rappers dress.
It is how they dress.
When they get off stage, they put on the horn rims and the $5 suits.
That's right. It's
go to the bank,
now.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Just ahead on American Black Journal, the Detroit Historical Museum hosts a special celebration in honor of Dr. King's birthday. We'll get the details right after this look at some noteworthy moments in Detroit's black history.
I'm Ken Coleman with a look back at African American life in Detroit. This week in 1932, renowned artist John Onye Lockhart was born in Detroit. Today you can find his murals at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History and on several college campuses. In 1971, Kenya Moore was born in Detroit. She became only the second African American woman in history to win the Miss USA crown. And in 2009, Aretha Franklin performed My Country 'Tis of Thee at President Barack Obama's inauguration in Washington, D.C. These are significant events this week in Detroit's Black history, taken from the book On This Day, African American Life in Detroit.
For the first time, the Detroit Historical Museum will host a free event in honor of the Martin Luther King holiday. The celebration is sponsored by the Black Historic Sites Committee, a part of the Detroit Historical Society. The committee supports programming and events celebrating the African American experience in Detroit. Here to tell us more is the committee's chairperson, Kimberly Simmons. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Thank you, Stephen.
This sounds like a really exciting part of King Day celebrations in Detroit. Well,
this is the first time the museum has been open for the Martin Luther King holiday.
Okay. Normally you would be closed because it's a holiday.
It's a holiday. As a matter of fact, I think there are a lot of the organizations within the Cultural Center that are actually opening for the first time this holiday. It's a great thing. It's his 85th birthday, so we're going to open and celebrate it. This is our first foray into doing an event for the day.
Yeah.
We hope that we'll get a full house and everyone will enjoy themselves because we have some quite a bit scheduled to happen.
And the focus of this is celebrating things that are in Detroit, things that are out of Detroit's past that connect to the holiday, right?
Well, Detroit's past is very special. We don't tend to celebrate it as much as we should.
Yeah.
The Black Historic Sites Committee is will be 43 years old this year. And we were originally started to act as a part of the Detroit Historical Museum's designation arm, so that the African American experience wasn't forgotten. We've evolved over 43 years, and we now do programming along with the designations. And this year, celebrating the King's anniversary is pretty special.
Yeah.
We've already done earlier a commemoration breakfast for the March on Woodward. We sponsored that this year. So it's kind of a continuation of the year.
Right, right. So tell me about some of the historic sites that people might think or not know about.
That are here in Detroit, tied to our civil rights heritage. There's, of course, the Ocean Suite House, which is on Garland off of Kercheval. There's a little known fact that I would like to share. One of the reasons why Reverend King spent a lot of time here, Reverend King was especially fond of Detroit. And he was actually called to the ministry at Central United Methodist. They actually wanted him for their minister, and at the time of the March on Woodward, which was in '63, the call was open, and they were hoping that he would accept that call.
Is that right?
He felt a little bit more comfortable in the South, of course, that's where he was from, and he declined. But yes, we were actually, if you want to say, Detroit was in the running to have Reverend King with us all the time.
Well, I mean, and think about how that would have changed the city's history. If he had been the pastor at Central United, which is right there in the heart of.
Exactly. Well, Central United is known for its activism.
Absolutely.
So it's actually, just think what could possibly have come of that. But that's another site, if you want to say, that we need to actually kind of think about when we pass by it on occasion.
Right.
Of course, the first time that I Have a Dream was actually done
here.
Was done at Cobo Hall.
Yes.
And it was done at the culmination of the March on Woodward in '63. And there are many pictures out there online that you can see where the speech was actually done as he did it. It was actually taped by Barry Gordy from Motown. There's recordings of it. It's hanging on the Motown wall. And there's a lot about Detroit, I guess we kind of take for granted.
That we don't think about, right?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
You mentioned the Ocean Suite House. Give me an idea. Is that a place that somebody could go and sort of recognize, or is it just a house in a block that someone's living in?
It's a house on a block where someone's actually still living.
So it's still a house.
It's still a house. It's still standing. It's still doing well. It's been there for quite a long time. There is a marker out front. And I'm sure that the inhabitants don't necessarily are thrilled
want
every time
everybody
a bus
driving
pulls
by.
up.
Yeah, right.
But there's a marker out front that actually tells the tale of the Ocean Suite trial, and that's a big part of our history. But it's one of those things where we don't pay attention. We don't really pay attention. I had a conversation just the other day. When I was actually out of town, and someone mentioned Motown, and I said, "Oh, you mean the house over on the boulevard?" And they said, "Well, Motown, to people other than folks that live here in Detroit, some of our spots, some of our heritage and our designations are like shrines."
Right.
They're like shrines, and to us, we pass them every day, and we never take a
drive
second
past
thought
that
about it.
Motown house all the time.
All the
and
time.
Don't really think about that's as significant as it is. I know it is, but it doesn't register all the time.
Absolutely. Motown changed music.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Changed the music business.
Changed the music business, changed the sound of music, changed the look of music, because of course African Americans were not as involved until Motown happened. It changed everything. And yes, we drive by it and say, "Oh, there goes the house on the boulevard."
And at least at least that's a museum now that you can go in and see that.
Esther Gordy Edwards made sure that happened.
Yeah.
Bless her, she was a wonderful lady. And if it wasn't for her thought, it probably would just be another house.
We just would have lost it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It strikes me that the Historical Museum is sort of stepping up here, but also stepping up in other ways. I mean, the museum is really different now than it was before the renovations you guys went through.
You know, I think we've stepped into a wonderful new chapter in the Historical Museum's life.
Yeah.
Our reinstallation was finalized last year in November, and there are a lot of what I would call the same exhibits, but they've been kind of polished off.
Yeah, everything looks a little
polished off
shinier,
and expanded. Yes. The Underground Railroad exhibit, The Doorway to Freedom, was literally on a second floor landing, and it is now a quarter of a floor. The Arsenal for Democracy has expanded. The body drop, though, which the kids love, where the car, you see the car being made, that's still in place.
Still there.
But everything else has grown around it, and our programming has gotten bigger. The King holiday being open, it gives us an opportunity to talk a little bit more about the civil rights that is tied to Detroit. Yeah. And if you were a civil rights leader, you had to come to Detroit.
Right.
Detroit was where it was.
Right.
So the museum has expanded a lot of its programming. The Black Historic Sites Committee in the middle of that. We actually last year celebrated the 150th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation signing and its first reading, which was held at Second Baptist Church. That was the first reading that was held in Michigan, and it was standing room only.
Is that right?
We had over 500 people that afternoon.
Yeah.
So things are really changing. They're looking up. I really wish that we can get a crowd on Monday to come and see us.
that would be very good.
Absolutely. We've got
and of course, the streets of Detroit is still there. That was always my favorite thing when I was a kid. I always wanted to do that.
You and I both. The streets are still the streets. They've been polished up a little bit.
Yeah.
The light has been turned up a little bit because it's really dim, especially as you get back toward the middle of the 19th century.
Right.
But the streets are still there.
Trains are still there.
The trains are still there. The Delancey trains are still there. Yes, we still got all the elements that make the Detroit Historical Museum have made it over the years are still there. They're just polished up a bit. So the programming has been changed.
Yeah.
We are now celebrating more of Detroit's heritage instead of just expecting everybody to know, because there's a lot that we don't know.
Yeah, you mentioned Second Baptist Church, and I've been there for the tour that they do of the Underground Railroad spots that they have there, and it makes me wonder, how do we get people to know about that? I mean, I went there as part of a family reunion. It strikes me that a lot of people don't get that there are all these things around Detroit, these really, really significant historical spots.
That's the problem. We don't celebrate our heritage here in Detroit.
Yeah.
I'm an Underground Railroad descendant. I'm fifth generation.
Is that right? Wow.
I'm descended from 4 freedom seekers. So that particular piece of Detroit's history is very special to me.
Sure.
And I'm very passionate about it. Detroit has been known for its civil rights since the Underground Railroad. That is who we are.
Yeah.
That is ingrained in this city.
Yeah.
The Underground Railroad is considered the start of the civil rights movement
Absolutely.
in this country. So moving forward, Detroit, or we'll use a term used in the Underground Railroad language, midnight, which is Detroit.
Right.
That was code word for Detroit.
Right.
Midnight has been the place to come for civil rights since the inception.
Since then, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need, as a people here, people on the outside celebrate Detroit as a place, a special place, civil rights, human rights, and freedom. And we need to learn, we as the people that live here,
own more of that ourselves.
we need to own that.
Yeah.
It's, you know, the image and the things that are being said about Detroit now, we need to learn, we need to understand that Detroit has always been about civil rights and freedom.
And freedom, yeah. Well, your exhibit on Monday is a good way to start that, right?
We hope to have anyone, we are going to be open from 10 to 4 on Monday. Well, open all day, but 10 to 4, and that's the event.
Okay, very good. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's our program for today. Thanks for watching, and we'd love to hear what you thought about today's program and get your ideas for future shows. So connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. We'll see you next time on American Black Journal.
Eric wants to know.
What does DTE Energy do to make Michigan a better place?
Rodney can tell you.
We do a lot, like youth education and employment programs. We fund over 500 jobs for youth all across the state. Many are neighborhood improvement projects just like this.
It's incredible.
Wow, that is fantastic. So this is like a paint by number, this whole thing, right? Communities are such great places, aren't they?
They sure are.
Love the siding. Measure once, cut twice, right? DTE Energy. Know your own power.